I mean, you get these things even more than I do, but we both had quite a few interviews and invitations to webinars, for instance, with McGraw-Hill, and I think we had Vineet Madan on and talking about Learn Smart, and yeah, I sat in some of their webinars as well. And of course, in November, McGraw-Hill had a big story selling their education section to Apollo for $2.5 billion. Not that Apollo of the University of Phoenix, but another Apollo, as I learned. But yeah, definitely one of the big stories. And it would have been actually quite interesting, I think, selling to that Apollo of the University of Phoenix.
Well, of course, when I saw the story originally, I thought the same thing. I thought, wow, I mean, University of Phoenix, I worked with them on some separate projects, and it's very clear that if they see something that is interesting, they will very often try and just, instead of purchasing something, they will often just try and redevelop it themselves at a lower cost and more efficiently. And lost a little business that way. But I was not surprised to see they did it. Turns out they didn't do it, as you said, as a different investment group. But I think that we will again continue to see that sort of convergence. We talked about convergence in the consumer space for a long time. I think we're going to see a lot more convergence here, where companies that have something to gain, some of the bigger fish that have something to gain, they're going to go out and buy something useful for them and start putting all these pieces together and developing sort of end-to-end solutions. I mean, it's an easy sell for schools, and if you can have a unified set of content and resources. This is something that the Pearson, we've talked about them already, but they're doing a really good job of this, providing a wide range of resources that they have the expertise and the wherewithal to stitch together really well. That's a really easy sell for schools. And when you're in the business of procurement and trying to make things run and just keep the lights on a daily basis, if you can go out and buy one thing and have it do everything you need it to do, or a large chunk of what you need it to do, the temptation is certainly there to not have your teachers be assembling their own resources or using some of these open resources that are out there and going through the legwork of making it happen. So
absolutely, yeah. Pearson is really spreading everywhere beyond, obviously, the content and their omnipresence on all those conferences, but of course also investing in startups or building their own things. And simply, yeah, it seems to be very much like what you said. They simply seem to be there and the obvious solution when somebody, a teacher, a school, is looking for a robust system, and I mean, of course, one of the big stories, or just recently in December, they acquired 5% of NOOK Media with an option of for 5 other percent. And before that, we talked about this in May when Microsoft and Barnes and Noble created NOOK Media, and sort of Pearson now. Or I ask you first, and then I give my take. Why do you think it's maybe particularly interesting to get their foot in the door and on that platform?
Well, I mean, you've got NOOK, you have Windows being, and Microsoft being sort of the de facto platform for basic content creation, operating systems, backends. The NOOK is an inexpensive device that is becoming a converged device. If you have Microsoft with their Surface, NOOK is available. The NOOK app has become available ubiquitously. I mean, if this gets done right, and I don't think it will, because nothing against Microsoft. I actually like Microsoft products generally, but Microsoft is involved, and so I don't think it's going to get done right. Barnes & Noble has never done anything right in this space, despite having all the right tools in place. They've never put it together. So I don't think this is going to happen. But if you can find the right combination of platform and content, we've said this before, and this story hasn't changed, that's the holy grail. And I think that Pearson is smart to dip their toes in the water, because right now, with Microsoft and with Barnes & Noble, it's really the only sort of partnership with an opening out there. It's not like they could go partner with Amazon. Amazon has kept a pretty tight rein on Kindle. Partnering with Google, probably not going to happen because Google has their own sort of educational thing going on, and Google Apps and lots of other stuff happening. There are book projects which irritate people no end, and so basically Microsoft and Barnes & Noble, they're the only game in town. And if Barnes & Noble is going to go belly up, not that I have any information that it might, but we see how the demise of Borders. I have concerns about the longevity of Barnes & Noble. Well, there's all sorts of stuff there that could be acquired and used quite handily by the right company, like Pearson, who then forged a stronger partnership with Microsoft. All conjecture, but you could see this playing out in a smart way that it couldn't otherwise.
I remember our review ad, and we sort of had the number there. I don't have it on the top of my head, but NOOK Media was immediately sort of valued higher than Barnes & Noble itself. So I think with probably, depending on how we see Microsoft's role, but with some smart people sort of driving the car concerning NOOK Media, they can probably make a good survival and even become a successful company, or even spin it out
right
without Barnes & Noble, basically.
Well, I think that's a key. And if we look at what Microsoft has done with Windows 8 and with tablets now, and they're a little late to the game, but they're actually bringing some great stuff to market. And if the latest sort of round of Windows 8 tablets and the growing number of apps that are related to that, Windows remains the platform of choice for sort of everybody. Lots of people like their Macs. That's all well and good, but there's some really compelling things happening around Windows 8, and it remains a platform that's well understood, easily managed in schools. Every IT administrator in a school out there knows how to use Active Directory and the Windows back end of things. So there's some real opportunities there, and I don't think that can be ignored. Especially I all like to wave our open source flags or shout about OS 10 or Android, whatever. Microsoft is a powerful force in education, and they've actually devoted a lot of time and effort into philanthropic work for education, and I think that has actually increased throughout 2012, and I think we'll see it increasing more. Anthony Salcido and I talk pretty frequently, and he's their global head of education, and he's extremely passionate about this stuff and carries that passion back to Microsoft. So there's going to be interesting things happening there. Microsoft is not going by the wayside. They're just a little late to the tablet game, but
absolutely, yeah. So just one last sort of side note. I remember that Pearson also did a content partnership with Newton. So having their content on the platform, and Newton is is selling this for them. So basically being positioned everywhere, and then seeing where the most promising things happen.